Did you know that for this movie, in prison Red Guardian shows a tattoo on his right shoulder of two roses. The two Russian names underneath them translate to Natasha and Yelena. So I remember back in 2020, 2021, when the hype was getting up there with Black Widow because we finally got a standalone Black Widow movie after what happened to Natasha in Endgame. Everyone's like, she never got her own movie. All these other guys in movies got their own standalones. Natasha never got one, and that's injustice. Like we want a standalone Black Widow movie. I just remember being excited for it. I had hopes that it would be a good movie. I didn't think it was going to be like an over the top phenomenal movie. I mean, Black Widow's an amazing character, but this movie was one of those movies where I just knew it would be a good time, a fun Marvel movie, just to really, kind of a palate cleanser, kind of a, movie that you'll have fun with. So I have a lot of great things to say about this movie, but there is one big thing I have a problem with in this movie, but I'll say that for the end. So the first thing I like about this movie is it has a good backstory and just an overall, a good story and a good plot. I like, how we just start out seeing Natasha and Yelena when they were little. Natasha and Yelena were exposed to a lot of cruelty in the world, a lot of just, human trafficking type deal and being moved one place to the next, and they're more pawns in the game. They lived in their own world for a while, then it was blown up in an instant, and then it's how they kind of made their way through life from there. But then also, the reuniting of Natasha and Yelena, the whole gang back together and just kind of facing a big threat together. But also, facing their past, facing what happened. Second thing I liked about this movie is I really enjoyed the fun family dynamics throughout this movie. The fun family dynamics between Yelena and Natasha were obviously the best, the funniest in my opinion. Really, really funny stuff there. I think Florence Pugh as Yelena was perfect casting. I just love the sisters going back and forth. Like if you have siblings, you know what it's like when you have, whether it's an older sibling or younger sibling, you have these sibling arguments, bickering back and forth, but at the end of the day, you love your sibling, right? You love your brother, you love your sister, and they haven't seen each other in such a long time, and it cracks me up every time. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. But then the relationship between Natasha and Alexei, Natasha and Melina, Alexei and Yelena. I mean, all the relationships, they all have their moments. They all have their fun moments, but all have their serious moments. But Alexei was hilarious. David Harbour as Alexei, I think it was great casting as well. I didn't expect him to be so funny. I don't know anything about the Red Guardian, so I don't know if it's like comic accurate that he's always supposed to be this funny. But I like it. I like him as this big, fat, funny Russian, but he's got super strength, and like I said, underneath all of the funniness and the joking around, like there is a good, serious tone of family, like a strong bonded family who's been through a crazy amount of stuff, and they're trying to get back together and make up for all the just letdowns and disappointments in the past that really just rocked Natasha and Yelena's world, because they really thought they were the perfect family, and turns out they weren't. It was all a lie, basically, but it was real to them. I think that scene was really beautiful too at the dinner table. Yelena was saying like how it was very real to her, even though to everybody else it was just a cover-up. It wasn't real to them, but to Yelena and Natasha, they really thought this is what family was like. So it is a sad scene, like when you see, when you realize like they're not really a real family, quote unquote, but to kids who are innocent and naive and just want to have some kind of childhood, this was as real as it got for both Yelena and Natasha. I like the action in this movie, pretty decent action. Taskmaster, liked the action there between Taskmaster and Natasha, but then really one of my favorite fight scenes was right in the beginning between Natasha and Yelena. They're both pretty evenly matched, and it's pretty brutal. It was pretty hard-hitting punches right there. It actually seemed kind of like the style that David Leitch and Chad Stahelski would go about doing with their fighting styles and their stunt styles. Lots of hand-to-hand combat is mainly what it was. And then the weapons that Taskmaster utilized, the bow and arrow, lots of explosions. Gotta love the explosions, gotta love the kind of the over-the-top stuff sometimes. Between the Black Widows and Natasha in the Red Room near the end was pretty awesome to see. The one big thing that really disappointed me about this movie was Taskmaster, which was how a lot of people felt. Taskmaster was really cool in this movie. It was great seeing just the action and the copying. Like anyone who knows who Taskmaster is, It was very hard to beat, almost impossible to beat. Anyone who's ever played any of the games knows Taskmaster is very, very hard to beat. But the director of this movie took a creative route and decided to nerf Taskmaster beyond all belief, making her a woman, which is not, Taskmaster is always a man, and 2, being beat so easily as just Black Widow hitting some button and she's not under mind control anymore. It's that simple. So that was just a crime against humanity, that Taskmaster was butchered like that. I know Taskmaster's coming back. We're seeing a lot of these guys come back in Thunderbolts. Excited for that, but are they gonna redeem Taskmaster? Are they gonna make Taskmaster like how Taskmaster should be? Just that the creative decision there to completely change everything about Taskmaster was a huge, huge mistake. And like I said, and if Taskmaster was like Taskmaster in the comics and in the games, I would have loved this movie tremendously more than I did. But that was a big thing that took away from my excitement. It was that huge change. But that's really the only negative thing I have to say about this movie. It was a good movie. It was a fun movie. I still enjoy watching it here and there. If you just like, good popcorn, action, Marvel stuff, Black Widow's the movie for you. So for Black Widow, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 Mudflaps. Remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. Were you a fan of Black Widow or not? See you soon.